In the heart of the untamed wilderness, a scarred and fearful wolf prowled the shadows, knowing only survival and solitude. Hunted by men, abandoned by his pack, he trusted no one, until a compassionate woman risked everything to change his fate. Against all odds, she bridged the divide between fear and trust, proving that even the wildest hearts could learn love. But as nature and man conspired against them, could their fragile bond withstand the ultimate test? In the heart of the untamed wilderness, a scarred and fearful wolf prowled the shadows, knowing only survival and solitude. Hunted by men, abandoned by his pack, he trusted no one, until a compassionate woman risked everything to change his fate. Against all odds, she bridged the divide between fear and trust, proving that even the wildest hearts could learn love. But as nature and man conspired against them, could their fragile bond withstand the ultimate test? A compassionate young woman with long, wavy auburn hair, dressed in a warm, fur-lined coat and gloves, kneels in the snow as she cautiously extends her hand toward the fearful wolf. Her eyes are filled with empathy, her soft features illuminated by the gentle glow of a lantern hanging from a nearby tree. The wolf hesitates, his body tense, golden eyes locked onto her in uncertainty. The snowy forest around them is silent, holding its breath in this fragile moment of trust. The scarred wolf stands inches away from the woman, his ears flicking in indecision. His breath forms misty clouds in the cold air as he sniffs her outstretched hand. His fur bristles, but his golden eyes show curiosity beneath the fear. The woman remains still, her warm smile unwavering. The snowy backdrop is bathed in the golden hue of the sunrise, casting long shadows across the untouched snow. The woman walks carefully through the snow-covered forest, her footprints the only ones visible. Behind her, the wolf follows at a cautious distance, his eyes wary but no longer filled with panic. The sun rises, casting a warm glow over the treetops, reflecting off the frost-covered branches. A small wooden cabin is visible in the distance, smoke curling from its chimney, signaling warmth and safety. Inside a cozy, rustic wooden cabin, the woman sits near a fireplace sipping from a warm cup of tea. A soft fur blanket is draped over her shoulders. The wolf sits by the door, his body curled but still tense, golden eyes scanning the room. The firelight casts flickering shadows across the wooden walls, highlighting the contrast between warmth and the cold world outside. The air is thick with quiet understanding as trust begins to bloom. The woman kneels outside in the snow, extending a piece of dried meat toward the wolf. He hesitates before gently taking it, his gaze softening. The morning light filters through the pines, creating a golden glow on their faces. His fur looks healthier, and he no longer shies away from her touch. The once fearful creature is slowly learning what kindness means. A group of rugged hunters in thick winter gear and carrying rifles trek through the snowy woods, their breath visible in the icy air. They whisper among themselves, eyes scanning for tracks. The woman, standing in front of her cabin, spots them in the distance, her expression tense. She instinctively steps in front of the wolf, who growls lowly, sensing danger. The air is thick with tension, snow crunching under heavy boots. As the hunters raise their rifles, the wolf steps in front of the woman, his golden eyes burning with determination. His thick gray fur bristles as he lets out a deep, warning growl. Snowflakes swirl around them, the firelight from the cabin casting long shadows. The woman's hand rests gently on the wolf's back, a silent bond of trust and protection forming between them. The woman raises her hands in a plea, her voice steady but firm. The hunters exchange glances, uncertain. The wolf remains at her side, his golden eyes never leaving the men. Snow begins to fall more heavily. The forest around them silent, watching. The tension in the air is thick, teetering on the edge of resolution or disaster. The hunters, realizing the wolf means no harm, lower their weapons. The woman gently places her hand on the wolf's fur, a quiet victory in their silent understanding. The wolf, no longer just a creature of fear, stands proudly beside her, his once wary eyes filled with trust. Snow blankets the ground, reflecting the golden hues of the setting sun. Their journey together has changed them both. The woman sits on the cabin's wooden porch, wrapped in a thick woolen shawl, sipping from a steaming cup. The wolf lies beside her, his head resting on his paws, his golden eyes gazing into the distance. Snowflakes gently settle on his thick gray fur as a soft, orange glow from the evening sky casts warmth over the scene. The fire inside the cabin flickers through the window, adding a cozy contrast to the cold wilderness. In the snow-covered clearing near the cabin, the woman laughs as she tosses a small stick. The wolf, still hesitant but curious, watches it land. After a moment, he bounds forward, kicking up fresh snow, grabbing the stick in his powerful jaws. The joy in his golden eyes is unmistakable, a wild creature learning to play for the first time. The late afternoon sun casts golden beams through the tall pine trees, highlighting the snowy landscape and the warmth growing between them. A fierce snowstorm engulfs the cabin, the wind howling through the trees. The woman, bundled in thick layers, braces herself against the cold as she struggles to secure extra firewood. The wolf stands beside her, his thick fur coated in frost, his ears pinned back against the harsh wind. Snow swirls in chaotic patterns, nearly obscuring the view of the distant trees. The cabin's warm glow fights against the relentless storm, symbolizing the fragile sanctuary they've built together. As the woman treks through the snowy woods, she suddenly slips on an icy patch, tumbling down a steep slope. She lands hard, unable to climb back up. The wolf, standing at the edge of the slope, lets out a deep, concerned growl before leaping down to her side. His powerful frame stands protectively as he nudges her, his golden eyes filled with worry. The sky above is darkening with storm clouds, adding to the sense of urgency. Spring has arrived, and the once snow-covered landscape is now alive with vibrant green trees and blooming wildflowers. The wolf stands at the edge of the forest, looking toward the distant mountains. The woman watches from the cabin porch, a bittersweet smile on her face, knowing he has the freedom to leave. But instead of vanishing into the wild, the wolf turns back, golden eyes locking onto hers. He steps toward her, choosing to stay. The warm sunlight bathes them both in a golden glow, a symbol of the unbreakable bond they have formed.